Welcome to the fourth edition of America 2.0, the series by SC. I'm your host, Adam Morgan. Here we are focused on interviewing community and technology leaders about life and leadership going forward. The world changed in 2020, and we want to highlight and celebrate strong people leadership in the short form web series, typically about 7 to 10 minutes in length. I'm pleased today to be joined by Tracy Kerrins. Tracy is the Chief Information Officer and Head of Enterprise Functions Technology at Wells Fargo. In addition to her more than 2 decades of technology experience, she is a passionate advocate for diversity and inclusion. And somehow, on top of all of that, manages to be an amazing wife, mother, and also, fortunately for me, a friend. So Tracy, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Adam.
I want to dive right in. We were talking about this earlier, but in light of the pandemic, a global crisis, and us now dealing with a couple months of quarantine, do you feel it's changed you as a wife, as a mother, as a friend?
It's definitely changed some of the routines and things that I have to focus on. I've always had, you always as a family unit have to worry about groceries and what you're, cooking and, all of these things, but it's taken on a new level with the quarantine. And it started off like we were all worried about our ability to get some of the things that we just take for granted, whether it's groceries or toilet paper. Also the level of planning around it, just because we were taking on more, I was taking on more in the house on a day-to-day basis on top of work. So that part has definitely been a change. I think we've adapted to it, figured things out. My family has. And it was also, I think the biggest change for our family and just for my team was worrying about, everybody was a little scared. We didn't know we knew people who were getting sick. We had people on our teams getting sick. We were afraid to go out. And so add that on to all of those additional items. And it's, I guess it has changed me and my perspective on things when I think of it that way.
Do you think it's changed you as a leader? Do you view your role differently at work?
I think I've looked at my role. I've always a little bit. So I've always cared about everyone as people, of course. But this pandemic and just it's added a different level. I've been spending a lot more time rightfully and concerned about the people on my team, how they're feeling, their families, their surroundings, and really worried a little bit more about their mental health, how they're handling things. It's a lot. You and I talked about this a little bit before, just the mental drain of the way we're working and how that impacts people on the team. We've also, the world hasn't changed in the business I'm in. So we're onboarding and hiring new people and, bringing them into the fold of a team that is only virtual right now. And that has an added, it's an added change in a different way that we've had to look at how do we kind of come together as a team for people that no one's ever met in person and that we only know virtually. So there's a lot of, I think it has changed me as a leader in that way as well.
Yeah, you actually touched on a topic that I'm excited to explore in subsequent interviews and meetings with folks is really the culture part of it, right? When you onboard in a world and join a company or work in an environment that's almost entirely virtual, how does the culture, how does it prosper? How does it grow? How do you make people feel a part of a culture when it's entirely remote? And I think that's going to be a really interesting topic to explore.
Yeah, absolutely.
Going back to your response though, are there personal values that you feel like you've been able to fall back on that have really helped you kind of carry through this time?
Well, I think just values I always had were around family first, work, being a wife, a mother, of course. But I do think it challenged that, that priority and that order differently. I think it's also, I've always thought I was present and around as a mom. And I think now that I really am all the time and we're having family dinners together every night, what I'm hearing and learning from my children or even my husband or the different things that stress me out or, even parents and extended family and caring for them in that way. I think that's been challenged a little bit and how I think about it. And really, I think there's a lot of goodness in the challenge though, and that no matter what the future looks like for us from a work environment, there's definitely things I want to keep and try and hold more steady. I'd love to keep having dinner with my family every night. Um,
Yeah.
Even if it's not every night, more than I was. It's
Yeah.
just reminded me what a great avenue for communication that is.
Yeah, I completely agree. I've been laughing because we've been doing family workouts in the garage, and that has been an unintended benefit of all this. And I hope that stays because it's now one of my favorite things we do. So I absolutely
Yes,
agree.
we do. We've done a lot of puzzles and just
Yeah,
kind of sitting together. Everybody makes a drink or has popcorn, and
yeah,
puzzles. And yeah, it is very nice. There is a very nice aspect to some of it for those of us who are, kind of blessed enough not to be worried about. None of my immediate family is sick, right? So
yeah,
we can spend that time together and not worry. Not everyone has that, privilege. So I'm very thankful for that.
yeah. I completely agreed.
Mhm.
Are there aspects of how you do work that you think will change forever going forward?
Yeah, I think the way we look at remote work,
Yeah,
how it scales, that, we've clearly been in the largest case study for can remote work for all the different job types. How does that work? Can it work? I mean, we're in it right now and we're seeing where it's fine and where sometimes it's not. Um, we also were forced to make decisions on things quicker to react to a situation that we were prepared for, but not fully prepared for. Um, and I hope that doesn't change. I think the speed that we've been able to decision and move things along has been very positive. So yeah, I think it'll change for sure. I also think travel. Um, I mean, we're doing a lot of things virtually. We're using video, like look at all these new, the ways that we're using video even for this interview, and it works,
yeah,
right? So do we need all the face to face that we thought we did before, or at least as frequent? It's going to be a challenged, criteria, and it should be on the go forward.
yeah. You're the third Fortune 100 CIO we've interviewed as part of this kicking this series off, and everyone has brought up, frankly, the ability to work remote, reduction in travel. That theme is almost universally consistent. So it says a lot, right, about where the trend is going, and frankly, how things are going to change for good.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I'm going to hold us to our short form webcast format and just ask one last question here, which is, if you look at the response of governments and companies and businesses to this pandemic, right, it's unprecedented, the scale of which, right, we've never seen, certainly during yours or my lifetime. And I'm curious if there's things you'd like to see going forward that you feel like will help us be more prepared for this.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's all about what do we learn and what do we take away from it, and do we use that for better future planning? I think that's key. I think no one can say, no one can hold anybody accountable for not being prepared for this, because I think this hit us all in a way that we couldn't be prepared for. Whether it's your company or the government, you name it, schools. So I like to look at it and just say I'm just pleased with the way everyone has responded. Could
Yeah,
some people have done it better, quicker? Sure. But I mean, who are we to say that,
yeah,
now? I've looked at the response in my own role and how we did things. And I'm just thankful for the heroics that, have been done all around the world to cover. So for me, it's just about what did we learn from it, making sure we take time to actually learn, document, and make sure that the go forward path is better. Whether it's something like this again, or hopefully we think more broadly, something like this or similar or different, we think through all those scenario planning.
yeah.
That's the best we can do, right?
Completely agreed. Tracy, I appreciate it. It means the world to me that you took time out of your day so that we could connect together and do this. So thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing you in person the first chance we get. And please tell Todd and the girls I send my best. Thank you for joining us today.
I will. Thanks, Adam.
All right.